Yeah, the call wild's always bringing me home. Call wild's always bringing me home. Call wild's always bringing me
Perfect.
home.
All right. Well, hello, wild ones, and welcome to another episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. I'm so excited to have my girls Maria and Isa here with me today of the OceanGalz. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. It's been a little rainy here in Hawaii, but other than that, the sun just came out and we're stoked to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm assuming no diving today then if it was raining?
Probably not.
No.
No.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a storm for a couple of days, but we did dive a lot before that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's all dependent on the weather too, right? So bound by
Yeah.
that. I'm so excited to hear more of your story too. So for people that are listening that don't know, Maria and Isa are OceanGalz in their name, but also just I would say you guys are like living mermaids too.
I wish.
Yeah, right. That would make it easier to spend all the time in the
Yeah.
ocean. So how did you guys first meet?
So we met around 3 years ago in Hawaii. So I had moved here to study marine biology, and Maria had moved here to work online. And then we just had mutual friends, and I ended up picking up Maria in my little, well, not that little van that just beaten up, and one of the doors almost was falling off, and we just had a bunch of people packed into this car, and we went for a snorkel. Back then, neither of us really dove much. Like
No.
we
I had like my certification from Thailand, but
for scuba.
for scuba diving, and then Isa, you've been.
I've been scuba diving my whole life because of my parents, but I hadn't really been free diving too much. So we
and
were
I've
just
never
snorkeling.
been free diving at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when we got in the water, they're like, we're gonna go through caves, and I'm like, what? What do you mean you're gonna go through caves? And
All of us with our little fins.
yeah, with
and-
little fins. I
Walmart
saw them.
goggles.
Yeah, Walmart goggles and everything, and I just saw them, going through caves, and I'm like, all right, well, this is it. I'm just gonna try it, and I was not doing a breathe up or anything.
Hyperventilating, probably.
Yeah, probably hyperventilating. I was just breathing and then going down as fast as I could, and then going through caves. And now that we're free divers, we know that's exactly what you don't want to do. But yeah, we started at snorkeling, and then Isa and I were always the last ones out of the water. So then it was just us two in the water, and we mostly had guy friends in the beginning. And then we were like, yeah, a girlfriend that is down for any adventure. And then we started OceanGalz.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to you just decided to film all of your adventures underwater and everything like that, because I mean all of the videos that I've seen, and I live vicariously through you guys. I know I've said that to you before, but it's so amazing, and all of the different creatures that you've swam with now.
Yeah.
What are the list of animals that you guys have officially swam with?
There has been a lot, but my top has been orcas and humpback whales.
Oh yeah, that would be my favorite too. What about you, Isa?
Of course those. Then my top, probably in addition, would be hammerheads, great hammerheads.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Great hammerheads is probably up there. They are just insanely big.
Yeah.
And then also, I love garden eels.
Mm.
I will forever be the one.
Are
to
they-
bring up garden
Are they the really big eels?
No,
No.
no, they're the tiny ones that it's like a little worm-looking thing coming out from the sand, and they are floating around I guess grass underwater.
Oh, cool.
Then when you get close, they hide in their little hole, and they're the cutest thing.
I think I remember seeing a video of that. That's so cute. So, what is it what's the process like to learn to be able to free dive? I've always found that interesting. And ever since we connected, I feel like it's a path that maybe I want to get into. 2025 is my year of trying to be healthy and everything. So I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just, I think what people think is just holding your breath and diving.
Yeah, so we are a good example because, like we said earlier, we started diving as snorkelers. So we were kind of learning with OceanGalz because OceanGalz grew faster than what we were growing as divers.
Yeah.
So then we had to catch up to that level. So we would make sure we don't give bad advice online or we don't show bad example to people. So then I always say the first step is find friends who want to snorkel. Get the easy, cheap snorkel gear and try it out. And if you enjoy the ocean, then you should definitely go for a freediving course. So either AIDA or Multronose, I think, is the ones I would recommend, and doing the
Or Patty.
Certification for freediving,
Yeah.
because it's super important from the beginning to understand how using weights works, how pressure works, how you should breathe up and how you shouldn't, and especially what to do if someone blacks out, so if someone passes out underwater. So
Yeah.
I think those are the steps.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be pretty scary, but it's definitely good to know how to be able to help that person. Have you guys ever been in the water when someone's passed out before or no?
We have not, but during our free diving course, our instructor kind of allowed Isa to hyperventilate to the point that she started getting, what is it called?
Hypoxic?
Yeah, hypoxic. So her lips were blue. She could barely like speak when she got out of the water. And that's, to know how it's going to feel. But we also have had friends who have blacked out in the water 20, 30 feet. And fortunately, they were with people that, you can trust. And they brought him back up. And pretty much you take the goggles out and you start breathing in their eyes and trying to wake them up so their body knows to breathe. So
Wow.
I don't know if you know this, but when you black out underwater, your body stops breathing. I mean, it doesn't breathe, which is nice, but then when you get brought up to the water, that's when knowing what to do is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the freediving courses, they will always run these scenarios where you have to bring someone up that's acting like they're passed out. And yeah, it's pretty much just keeping the airways closed is number one, because if any water goes in the lungs or in the airways, you have to
Right.
go straight to the hospital. There's no buts at that point. But if you can keep the mouth closed, like Maria said, until bringing to the surface, then the situation is honestly very safe.
Right.
But like we said, the line is thin. That's why you want to know what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, that's so interesting and it makes sense though when you think about it, but that you're giving oxygen in their eye, so like they're still getting that air that they need, or whatever, but makes sense that you don't want.
It's a reflex.
Yeah,
Right.
so you're blowing the air in the eyes is because your body thinks you're in the water.
Yeah.
So it still thinks you're submerged, so it's not automatically breathing. So what you're doing is you're trying to wake them up and wake their nervous system up, like you're not in the water anymore, like you can breathe now.
Right.
Which is pretty cool because when you're underwater and you do end up blacking out, like you trust your body not to breathe that water up until you trust your friend to bring you up, wake you up. And yeah, that's how you start breathing again.
Which is a good tip for beginners. Never ever hold your breath and dive down with the snorkel in your mouth. Because if your mouth is open with the snorkel and you pass out, the reflex doesn't work and you automatically inhale, and then you inhale the water,
Right.
water is in your airway, you will end up in the hospital. 100%.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's incredible too. How deep have you guys dove?
So neither of us has been able to really focus in deep diving in the past year. We've really been traveling so much, and deep diving is something you have to adapt your body to. So you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper step by step. You can't just push to a certain depth and then be done with it and forever be able to go that deep. Just physically impossible. It's like stretching and doing a split. I've never been able to do a split, but I can imagine that you have to stretch a little bit no matter how flexible you are to get to that point.
Right. Yeah.
So, but back in the day when we had more time for that, I went to 43 meters, so that's around almost 150 feet, I think.
Oh wow.
I went, how much?
You
don't
went to
remember. Like
26 meters,
like 80.
so what is that?
High 80 feet.
Yeah.
Like 85.
That's pretty amazing too. And I know that you guys also, like, I think I saw something online that you trying to like cut your caffeine intake too. Like how does that, and like drinking alcohol and stuff, how does that affect like free diving or, swimming?
Yeah, so with free diving, you want to be as calm as possible. That's why being stressed or being sick or sometimes having caffeine, that's gonna change your diving time.
Mm, that makes
Because of the
sense.
heart rate. The heart rate is directly aligned with how long you can hold your breath. And then for alcohol, neither of us is big drink. We don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have time and energy, so we try to stay relaxed in the way that work wouldn't overtake our lives in habits and that kind of stuff. But we do both enjoy being healthy. I mean, we can't keep up with this rhythm of diving and
Of
working and
course.
everything without being healthy. So I think neither of us has really drunk at all
Yeah.
this year
Yeah.
at all, like to this point. So that way we can stay.
Because
stay in
clearly
this-
it will affect us.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if we drink, we stay all day in bed because we know it's not safe to go diving.
Yeah.
Right.
So diving actually drunk or hangover is really, really, really dangerous. Of course, the obvious reasons of drunk diving, of like not being so aware of your body and all this. But even hangover, it can cause you to have bends or diver's disease much easier.
Mm.
So like a poisoning of nitrogen. And you can get this just because you keep diving up and down and up and down, and because of that atmospheric pressure, you can already create it even sober and healthy. But if you have alcohol in your system, you're dehydrated. And if you're dehydrated, this nitrogen poisoning comes much, much easier. So there's actually a real reasons to not dive drunk or
Yeah.
under influence.
That makes those all make a lot of sense too. And you both have your scuba certifications also, right? So, what like would you say that you prefer free diving over scuba, or like what's your pros and cons, I guess?
I think it depends. For me, I will always choose free diving
Yeah.
if the dive site allows it. But if it's too deep and there's a chance to see, like we were just in the Maldives and there was like, I think it's called Shark Tank. Like there's just an area where there's like a lot of sharks and you just can't free dive because of safety and because it's actually pretty deep. It's almost hits around 30 meters. So there, I'm going to choose scuba diving because I cannot free dive.
Right.
But we were in Raja Pond and we were gonna mostly scuba dive, but we
were
ended
told
up
we were told it's a scuba place. Like you have to scuba. There's no free diving.
and then we just ended up free diving the whole time because we could, and it was just so amazing. So it's like I choose scuba when we have to,
Right.
but I will always choose free diving. It's just freeing. It's just me. No bubbles. No thinking that like is the gear set up correctly. I actually get kind of scared scuba diving sometimes, but with free diving, it's just me in the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were kind of laughing about that first because there is this almost beef between scuba divers and free divers that's always been going on. It's a little bit of like the bubbles are ruining our pictures, and then it's like, oh, free divers, they can't even go that deep. They don't know anything about the gear. So it's always like a little
Oh, that's so funny.
We are both. We're friends with both.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally imagine too, like, there are certain, like, depths that, like, you just want to stay down and be able to, like, see, like you were saying in the Maldives, right? The Maldives you said you were? Yeah. What's on your bucket list for places that you haven't been that you guys want to go?
When we have more time, hopefully next year. One bucket list that I really want to go to. I have no idea. Yeah,
I can
you
go
say.
in between. I have two different
Like
ones.
reachable bucket list.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
reachable. Okay, we can also go for if I would have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
But like actually reachable ones, I have two. One is a childhood dream for diving, which would be Madagascar. So I want to see the diving and the island just because I've seen it in documentaries, and I always had this list since I was a kid, which was Galapagos, Raja Ampat, and Madagascar. And those three were the ones that I knew in my life I have to get to since I was like 6 years old. And I've done 2 of them. I'm so lucky to have already done 2. So the last one left is Madagascar.
That's awesome.
And then outside of diving, Patagonia, hiking in Patagonia is probably my highest. Like once I can take time off, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, Patagonia seems awesome. Maria, what about
One
you?
goal right now is the harbor seals, the white
Mm.
ones. I really want to see them.
They're
And
so
then the ones
cute.
in Florida, the manatees. I really want to see the manatees. So those 2, hopefully this year I can see.
Oh, yes. I also I want to go see manatees too. They're my mom's favorite animals. So
You're in Florida, right?
I'm in New York, but my dad
New
lives in
York.
Florida.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
I kind of like I go and see him every once in a while, but
Yeah, because my friend Janelle said she ran into you at the reptile conference.
oh
or
yeah,
something.
I was down there just at Animal Con for like networking,
Oh,
connecting. So I like just went down for the weekend. But yeah, Janelle was so nice. It was like and I was like, "Wait,
Yeah.
do you know Maria and Issa?" And she's like, "Yeah, like I'm great friends with them." So it was nice to be able to connect with her. It was a very fun event.
Yes, she told me all about it. We should have something like that, like for the ocean as well.
but they can't bring anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't like aquariums. No captivity for animals.
I agree. I agree. Absolutely. And I know while you guys were in Mexico, you guys went and did like a protest in front of which place that was there? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was in Cabo. It was in front of
It's the Cabo Aquarium. It was something like Ocean Adventures. Can I actually check it? Because I would
Yeah.
love the podcast listeners to know exactly which place it
Yeah,
is, so
absolutely.
they don't end up going there.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically we partner with, so all the expeditions that we do, we partner with local companies. So it's not just us bringing our followers to a new country and just throwing them in the ocean. What we do is we do research. We make sure that we want to work with the local company and their ethics. So Marielle, our partner from Mexico that we do expeditions with, she actually runs the Empty the Tanks there, and she studied dolphin behavior as well. So she had a protest, and then we went, and we were just trying to tell people, don't go in. Anything you give there. Where was it? Cabo Adventures.
It's called Cabo Adventures, and it's right in the harbor that you can. I don't know if the video will be able to show it at all.
So it's
Yeah.
right next to
Oh,
the
that looks
ocean.
small too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's sad, and most people, some people were walking by, and I told them, I was like, do you understand that you're paying to see these dolphins that are pretty much in jail, pretty
Yeah.
much. And some were like, no, they told me this was a sanctuary. I was like, this is not a sanctuary, because the sanctuary, they don't make the dolphins do any tricks,
Right.
or they also don't allow you to
Touching.
interact with the dolphins.
No touching,
Yeah.
no
Right.
playing, no riding.
Yeah.
None of that is a sanctuary. So, yeah, we hope to be part of the movement this year even more, and we have some projects as well that we're working on that we can't say anything yet, but it's hopefully gonna help.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And what I want to say for everyone, that if you want to help, a little thing that you can do is simply follow Empty the Tanks Mexico and follow Dolphin Project. And just by keeping up with their news and their updates, you can really find projects that you can help in, and just following them, just helping out the algorithm to show them to more people is super important.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that we live in a time where this stuff is it's also easily more exposed, right? Like now we have drones and they're flying over and you can really see them better. Like there is no manipulation with like, like aerial surveys or something like that, like you could really see more in depth. And I know Alexandra we're both friends with, and I donate some of the proceeds of my dolphin design towards the Dolphin Project as well. So they're a really amazing organization to focus on, and they try to release the dolphins back. And I know they have done that before back into the wild. And I know Alex.
Yeah, in Bali, super
Yeah.
exciting project there.
Yeah, sorry. I was
Sorry.
just gonna say Alexandra's in Japan right now.
Yeah,
In
she's with our friend David
yeah,
right now and filming what's going on in Tajin. Um, yeah, that's really sad what's going on, and so, oh, you can.
Yeah. So for those who are not maybe familiar with that, a big portion of dolphins that are in captivity are being stolen directly from the ocean, from their pods, ripped away from their family, and it's very aggressive. And they actually end up killing the rest of the pods every time, and not even eating the meat or anything, just killing the pods and grabbing the ones that they think are good for basically like shows
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And yeah, what they do here in Taijin, I think it's in Japan.
It's in Japan.
It's a bay or a cove, little cove, where they drive a huge pod of dolphins. It can be different kinds of dolphins, from Risso's dolphins to common dolphins to any kind. And they grab the ones they want to take and they kill the rest. And I think the numbers are pretty crazy how many they kill yearly. I think it's a couple of thousand at least that gets killed there, just for the show business and for lack of regulation.
Yeah.
So apparently the way they started it is because the fishermen used to think that for some reason the dolphins are taking their meat, which is not the case. The fish is being taken by overfishing. For these huge commercial fishing fleets are the ones that cause the lack of fish, and they're trying to find a scapegoat, which is now dolphins, which is very sad.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad. It's so important to highlight that. And I don't know, it just like it goes into what you guys were, like protesting against, right? Like outside of the place in Cabo, is that like all of that stuff is such a bad cycle. So to be able to hopefully break that, and I think more people are coming to it, right? Like being able, I feel like a lot of people, if you talk to them now for, the most part. I mean, did you see a lot of people when you were outside there that day? You did?
Oh yeah, groups
Wow.
and groups of people. Yeah.
I want to say at least 200 people walked in that day.
Wow.
And we talked to every single one of the people that walked in.
And I don't did one.
Not a single one
person
turned around.
turned around.
Not a single person turned around.
Wow.
Because
Not
they
a-
already paid for it, so the tickets have to be paid beforehand. So
And everyone told us, "Oh no, our hotel told us. Our hotel said this is a sanctuary." So
yeah.
it was difficult. A couple people cried.
Oh man.
So people were affected by it, but a lot of bypassers, people that walked by and we talked about it, almost all of them were like, "Amazing job you're doing," or they were saying, "Wow, I didn't know this.
Right.
Good thing that I found out. I might have gone here tomorrow."
Right. Well,
That's why spreading awareness is so important, and what we try to do with OceanGalz as well.
yeah, absolutely. And there's things about these tanks, a lot of them, they're very, very small. They're like literally, like you said, it's like a jail cell for them. And then a lot of them don't have protection from the sun. They can't dive deep enough to be able to protect their skin, just because,
That's why they are darker.
yeah. And also like there's just so many issues with that. And I think that a lot of all cetaceans are very familiar animals, right? Like they're very connected with their families. And it really reminds me a lot of like the persecution of wolves too. They're all very similar in the sense that they're so connected and intelligent. And I think that as a society we should grow past using these animals for our entertainment, when you can do such cool things like go and see them in the wild, like what you guys are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the family thing is really interesting because the woman that we work with in Mexico that we mentioned earlier, who's running the Empty the Tanks Mexico, she told us one time, we were on one of our expeditions in Mexico, and we had just swam with a huge pod of dolphins, wild dolphins. And we had been first seeing them from the boat, seeing their behavior. Are they slapping their tails to tell us to go away? Are they speeding? Are they diving down? And then they seemed very friendly. So our guide, she told us that it's okay for us to swim with them. And after that, we were all super excited, enjoying our lunch. And she started telling us how every single dolphin has a name from birth. So there's a sound that the dolphins make that is specific to every single dolphin. So it's their name. And it starts from the belly of the mom. So when the baby is in the stomach, the mom starts naming the child or the dolphin with the sound. And that sticks with the dolphin. But when the dolphins are taken to captivity, they lose their name because no one knows their name. And they forget it themselves. They just start making sounds that are not speech. They're no longer communicating when they're in
So
captivity.
they're just screaming and screaming and screaming, and people think, oh, look at this dolphin. It's like it's saying hi to me.
laughing.
Yeah, but in reality, it's just screaming because it's going crazy.
That's-
We all would if we were stuck in a.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with me. And because I love dolphins. Dolphins were one of my favorite animals. Like as a child, I feel like there is something like super mystical too, especially about dolphins, right? And like you wouldn't do like if you just think about it though, like you wouldn't do that with like kids. You wouldn't like rip them away from their parents, and like I just think to hone in on the fact that they're so intelligent that they have names for each other and clearly have a bigger society than what we're even able to realize with science advances now.
Yeah. And it's important to keep giving a voice to everyone who knows more. And that's something that we are really trying to focus on this year even more. So, like, telling these stories that Mariella tells us just because she's a scientist. She just finished. Oh, sorry, just a second.
That's okay. Issa, you said that your family were scuba divers. Like you grew up doing that.
Yeah. They had always been scuba diving, and then as soon as I was big enough to be put in scuba gear, I was. So I think I got certified at 10 or 11 years old, and pretty much as soon as you can get certified. So I actually still only have junior open water from those old days. Like I wasn't even allowed to get the normal open water because I was so young.
Oh wow.
So, but it's basically the same as open water.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
So,
can definitely thank my parents for the love of the ocean.
yes.
I'm back.
Perfect. No worries. I always say this is a very chill podcast. So,
Yeah,
I think
but
we were talking about Mexico.
yeah,
Mariella.
giving voices to people that actually know what they're talking about, I think, is also important, which I'm hoping to do with this too. Are there any projects you guys can talk about or like things that you have planned for this year? I know there's some things you can't talk about, so don't worry about that. But some other things that you guys have going on?
Yeah, so some fun things we have going on is we are doing a Mexico expedition.
Yes.
So that is 1 week. We're doing 2 separate groups. So Issa and I will be on one boat, and then, we'll be on separate boats. But that's sold out. But we have 3 locations that we are going to launch very, very soon. One which was the same of last year, being Maldives, and then the other 2 we will announce in a couple of days.
Oh, that's so exciting. I can't wait.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to get on one of those and I have to be able to come and experience some of these amazing places with you guys and some of the animals too.
Yeah.
What are, so we've talked about some of your favorite experiences, but have there ever been any experiences where you've been like, oh man, this is a little out of my range, or it's been a little scary?
For me, one recently was when I was in the Maldives. I was scuba diving and we were looking for threshers, which is one of my favorite sharks. And that day, like I said, I don't drink coffee, so I drink tea. I was like, oh, I'll drink some tea, and I drink black tea, but I guess black tea is a lot with caffeine. I don't know. And I ended up almost having a full panic attack underwater. This was very recently, like 3 months ago, and my heart was racing. I was maybe 25 meters, which is around like 80 feet, 80 to 90 feet. And then you just start thinking, like, what if, am I breathing still? Like, am I not breathing? Like, will I ever make it up? And I just panicked. And luckily my sister, Kimmy, was in front of me, diving with me. and you can't speak when you're scuba diving, so I just, I poked her and I was like, give me your hand, and she gave me her hand, and I just held on to her hand for like 10-15 minutes, and then I got through the dive. But I was shaking, and that was, yeah, an experience in itself, because I kind of allowed my head and my mind to race and take over. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes.
Right, not everything, and I think that's actually good to share because I feel like not every dive is going to be perfect, not every day is going to be perfect. Like your body's always adjusting. You're not going to always have the best day,
Exactly,
and that's
yeah.
okay too. But I'm glad that you were able to get through it. You know.
For sure, yeah, just talk yourself through. Your body is so capable, but also listen to your body. So I know if I ever feel that type of way before a dive, maybe I'll call it before even jumping in. The reason I didn't call it and didn't give this sign to my guide was because we just got down. It was like 5 minutes into the dive, and I just started feeling like that anxiety feeling. But I know now to listen to my body, and if that day I'm like, I don't want to go down 100 feet, then I'll just not go.
Right.
And I think that's a good example of why you always have to have a body, whether you're scuba or free diving. Because if Kim wasn't there, you might have spiraled way more.
Yeah, and you do not want to be making your way up really fast when you're in that depth.
Right. I was gonna say that's one thing that's a big no in scuba diving, right?
That's like number one rule.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah, so I mean, it's a give and take. All our of course, we show the dives that are beautiful and everything, but there's a lot of times where we don't see anything, or there's times where you do get that anxiety feeling because, the ocean can humble you really fast. And Isa has a lovely story, and I think I know which one she's going to say.
I have a couple of options here for sketchy dives that have left me feeling like I never want to get in the ocean again. But I guess the most dramatic one that is the scariest moment I've ever had underwater, probably above water too. My heart stops so much.
Above water?
It's
Okay,
above or under. I think it's the scariest moment of my life. We were in Mexico again, and we had this amazing chance to jump in with orcas, which is not that common because first of all you have to find them, which is not that common.
Right.
It's something that we don't go out there for. We just sometimes get a bonus of finding an orca, or pod of orcas, and our guides are local and they've worked there pretty much as long as there's been diving culture there. And they know all the pods very, very well, which is so important for safety and all that. But this pod was new. They hadn't seen it before, so they moved faster than we had expected them to move. And the way we jump in to avoid bothering the animals is always jump way far in front of them. Like not in front of them, but like next to their projected way of moving,
Right.
and way far so you don't jump on the animal, so you don't surprise the animal. You are already in the water when they're passing. And timing this, you have to be professional and you have to have experience. So our guides, they say, okay, go, but we had read it wrong. They had read it wrong because of the new pod, and they were closer than we expected. And I ended up jumping with the guide almost in front of the orca, and they're moving fast, but they were cruising still. They were still being relaxed. But I see the orca maybe 30 feet, maybe 60 feet in front of me, and it stops, looks at me, and speeds up so fast that I've never seen an animal move.
The grandma orca is always looking after
the leader, the oldest orca.
The matriarch.
She charged at me so fast that I was trying to move back to give space, but I was against the boat because I had just jumped in. So I was against the boat, laying like this, trying to kick away, while this orca is coming towards me faster than I've ever seen anything move underwater.
Wow.
And it stops right in front of my face. I want to say maybe 10 feet away. It's really hard to tell how close it actually was.
Right.
Looked at me and swam really quickly up right underneath me. Like so close underneath me that I probably could have touched it, but I was just trying to be like, I'm so sorry that I'm here. And after that, it really humbled me to remember that these are wild animals and we are guests in their home.
Yeah.
And our guests honestly thought that probably because they're not used to seeing humans, that also Issa was wearing white goggles. So maybe the grandma was like, what is that? And then charged at Issa to check her out.
Right.
But because it was such a new pod, we just didn't know. Like what, we did like end up going in the ocean, and then they passed us and they were kind of used to us. But it was like that beginning jump that that the orca was, that rushed to Issa and like wondered like what
What
was
is
she?
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she had
Right.
white fin and white mask, and
Yeah.
those are the colors that really pop out.
I can
underwater.
imagine how scary that is. Having like I want to swim with orcas. That's definitely a bucket list goal of mine eventually. But I can only imagine how scary that is, having this like incredible big animal. But it also kind of also shows how incredible and intelligent they are. Right? That she just came to check you out and then was like, okay, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I had a strong feeling that the grandma, like, its message was so clear to me to say, get out. Like, too close, get out. You had your chance, you blew it, you didn't behave like you were supposed to in my ocean, in the orca's ocean.
Right.
And she said, "No, no more for you." And I didn't get in the water after that. I was droning. I was telling guests like, "I'm just gonna drone this one. I don't think the grandma wants to see me again."
Yeah, and then we did end up having like this beautiful encounter 2 weeks later, where it was just our boat and we saw a pod of orcas. And first, before jumping in, the guide always checks it out and makes sure everything looks good. And they actually were feeding, so that means that they were staying around the boat. So we all jumped in. Issa stayed on the boat for like 10-15 minutes, and the orcas were feeding on a pygmy sperm whale, and they allowed us to go down and like, just observe them feeding and sharing this meal. And then thankfully Issa decided to jump in after.
I couldn't say no. We were sitting motors off, completely motors off in the middle of the ocean, and the orcas kept circling us like dolphins.
Wow.
They are dolphins, but
Right.
like
Right.
like a common dolphin, they were circling us.
And the mom and baby were curious, while the
Yeah.
macho man and grandma would go down and look for the animals that they were gonna eat. And that was a really, really great experience. And that's what we want to
give-
show our guests,
yeah.
because if the animal is moving, we always put the animal first. We're like, the orcas don't want us, or if there's more than 2-3 boats, we're like, we're just gonna go and do something else today. And then that specific day, the ocean gifted us, because it was just us and the orcas. And then behind us, there was like
That's ridiculous.
10 different boats looking at a blue whale. And we left the blue whale because we were like, there's too many boats. We don't want to be an issue with the blue whale. Let's just go on our merry way. And we left the blue whales and the 10 boats behind us. And then it was just us and orcas.
Literally, we would see the other boats and the blue whale. That's how close.
And they had
we were.
no idea that the orcas were right next
Oh
to them.
wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't even
So-
have to go that far.
So,
No, the ocean really was giving us a thanks for being mindful for the blue whale. That's
Yeah.
how I see it.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? You guys deserve a little good luck.
and we're very lucky with who decides to come on our expedition too, because them two were like, all right guys, we saw the blue whale for 5 minutes, we don't want to disturb it, so we're gonna go. And everyone's always very okay with whatever we decide to do. And we try to make it also like in the emails, like we put the animal first, like this is not a circus, like
Right.
if we don't see anything, that's fine, because the animal always comes first.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's why I really love you guys too, is because you guys are so like ethically focused as well. And I do think that that's like a pretty big issue that's happening right now too, is like this misconception that people are kind of false advertising, kind of like you were saying about the place in Cabo, and like how people are like, oh, this is a sanctuary. People do the same thing with like, oh, this is an eco-tourist, or like, we're eco-friendly or whatever, and then there's 10 boats surrounding a blue whale. What are like some, I guess, like recommendations that you can maybe give to people on what to look out for on trying to do it the right way?
Yeah, I think asking the company like what they do ethically
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
animal, and if they don't reply, or if they just allow anyone to jump in whenever and there's no set rules, then you know that the company's just there to make money, sadly. But the more rules the company has, the better.
Usually, yeah.
It sucks to hear, but like the ocean will gift you if you do it correctly.
Right.
We actually got to learn so much about this one at COP29. So we got to go to Azerbaijan for the climate conference. And there we got to get to know really closely, actually, some amazing eco-tour companies that are genuinely like paving the way for what are the standards for ecotourism. Because like you said, there is no standard. You can kind of slap that name into anything and call it a day.
Right.
So yeah, these companies are something what I recommend doing if you have a place in mind you want to go to. First, check all kinds of influencers and dive companies and divers, like bigger like organizations in the area. Maybe some conservation also organizations from the area, and send them a DM, send them an email, send them a text, and just ask, do you have recommendations for really eco-friendly and animals first type of tour in your area, and just go off of that. That's usually a good start. And then once you get there, like Maria said, always ask if they have rules for interacting with animals, and if they don't have rules, run for the hills. That's not the place for you.
Right.
Also, you should always ask if they have worked with, or if they are working with, any conservation or science group. And that's usually a good sign. If they work closely together with someone, then they know what they're doing.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I like how you guys said that, you like had like, especially with your tour guide, Maricel, right? Is that her? Did I say?
Marielle.
Marielle. How, she also knows like how to go in front and then slowly get into the water, and then like you guys also keeping your distance. It's not like you guys are going in and you're like on top of the animals or touching the animals. It's just swimming next to them and like observing their natural behaviors too, and respecting that.
Exactly, yeah.
And she's not afraid to snap you out of it. Like, even to us, if we are splashing too much when we kick or going somewhere wrong, she's not afraid to tell you, like, no, I will take you out of the water if you don't behave, which is so important when it comes to money. Too many companies are like, if you have enough money, you do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah.
And those are the companies you don't want to go to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's important too, because you want to support the people that are doing it the right way. And just like respecting the animals, like, they have it bad enough with the plastic and the sound of the boats and the pollution. So, they don't need you all up in their space either.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys a little bit more about that event that you guys went to. It's called COP29?
29. Yeah.
How was
It's
that?
the
It looked
United
really
Nations
amazing.
Yeah, it was the United Nations Climate Change Conference.
Wow. Hi, Wild Ones. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. This episode is sponsored by my clothing brand, Femme Sauvage, and you can find a discount code and link in the description. So check it out. We have a lot of amazing designs, and $5 of the proceeds goes to different charities. So please feel free to check it out and enjoy the rest of the episode. Thanks so much. So you guys were invited by
Finn's Initiative.
Okay.
Finn's Initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were invited by Finn's Initiative, our friend Jalil, and then his business partner Adan. They created Finn's Initiative in Azerbaijan. So they are born, raised in Azerbaijan. And it was pretty amazing to see how many people came together and how many people don't really know about the ocean or know about what's going on in our ocean. I feel like that's something Isa and I forget a lot, because we're always in the ocean, we're always learning in it, we're always
Surrounded by
people who are from the ocean,
Right.
who live in the ocean pretty much. But yeah, it was so nice to teach others about, what is going on in our ocean, or how we're using our platform to spread awareness.
That was
so,
that was a huge reason why we were invited there. So we had actually met Jalil on one of our trips in Maldives. He was joining our expedition as a friend, and then he invited us because they wanted to bring out Finn's Initiative is mostly for sharks, whales, and dolphins, and their protection internationally. But what they wanted to do is bring together people who are doing conservation in different ways. So we had scientists come in who were so knowledgeable. We also had someone from Seaspiracy talked there. So we had a lot of media side.
Filmmakers, yeah.
Simi the kid from who's doing huge things on Instagram and huge productions for different companies was there, and so they wanted to bring together not just the scientists, not just the conservationists, not just the activists, but also the influencers and the content creators and the media that is kind of the new wave of conservation, new wave of spreading awareness to people. So that's why we got to go as well, and we were so
That's
grateful
awesome.
to experience
I
it.
think that's so important too, because all like all the people that you mentioned, I think it's pretty obvious that you're all connected for your love of the ocean, right? So I think it's such a smart way. And people are just on social media more, and like they also see you doing this cool thing, and then I think it's also really great that you have this like boundary of ethics and respect for the ocean too, and it sets a really good example, to people watching you guys. And like, if you want to have a great adventure, you can, and like to go in the ocean, but to have it in a respectful way. And if you love the ocean and you love having those adventures, hopefully it calls you to help more with the change that needs to happen to clean it and to help make it, a better place.
For us, it's really important to bring positivity into conservation and into spreading awareness, because people just like to see positive things. That's just human nature, and you can't blame anyone for it. So if the media is very focused on like, this is how many dolphins died, this is how many turtles died, this is how hot our planet is today, no one wants to hear that. It gets tiring, it gets depressing, and we want to remain in love with the ocean. We don't want to be scared for the ocean. We want to be in love with it. So that's why we hope to bring positivity into it, and that's our goal with our platforms and with the people that we work with, is to have fun and show how much we love it.
So others can fall in love with the ocean. So you can, because no one's gonna fight for something that they don't love.
Absolutely.
But if they love the ocean, even though they're not in the ocean, they can, love watching our videos and seeing what is in there, then they'll have that need and want to fight for something. Instead of just seeing negative, they're just gonna, close it out and, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that the path forward for a lot of, helping to heal the earth and conservation is through feeling with our hearts. So I think that's a really big and powerful message that you guys are doing. Because like you said, Maria, like people aren't going, like it's almost like I forget the actual term for it. It's like empath, like you get like drained, like you're so exhausted from how much bad stuff is happening, and you can't do anything. Like you as an individual can't do anything about it. So to call to people's hearts and to be able to be like, oh my god, I love these animals, and then when you see something that pops up that's factual, that's obviously happening, that needs to be spread, then you could be like,
sprinkle it in. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that you guys used to be scared of sharks. I also used to have a really bad phobia of sharks. It was actually quite embarrassing when I was younger. I would not be able to go in the pool by myself. And I actually think, like, to your credit, like influencers like you guys and like some other people that like we know really give like a really nice viewpoint and a different perspective of sharks. What kind of like changed your guys' minds on what changed the around the corner for like being scared to actually like loving them?
I feel like because of the media, I obviously was scared of the like sharks.
Yeah.
I remember the time she used me as a human shield.
Yeah.
Between a shark and her, like
even though the shark was very far away,
it literally used me as a human shield.
But I
know my word.
The media made me scared of sharks, and when I first came here, I booked a tour, like a shark diving tour with my sister, and we were like, all right, we're gonna do cageless dives, and we were like, oh my god, this is insane. And I remember I couldn't sleep the night before. I just couldn't believe I was going to go dive with sharks, and that's because of how much media put it in your mind. Like, of course, just like any other animal, they can they're apex predators, like anything can happen. But it's not like you get in the water and the shark is gonna attack. Like
No.
Right.
there's a reason they attack sometimes, but it's not how the media portrays it. So I think just diving more and seeing them in the ocean and them minding their own business, still staying humble and giving them space, because I'm never gonna go and try to get the shark's attention or try to annoy the shark, because of course the shark can get upset. And then just meeting other friends that are shark divers and seeing that they do this every day really.
Right. And they haven't
Yeah.
died. They're fine.
I think a good example is that actually a thing I'm still working to change as well is to, instead of calling them shark attacks, calling them shark bites or shark accidents. Because let's say you hit a deer or you hit a moose on your car.
Right.
A moose can kill you. I'm from Finland originally, so I know
Yeah.
you can die of a moose collision, very likely actually.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you would never go in the media. Media would never write attacked by a moose. It would be
Right.
a collision with the moose or an accident with the moose. So why, when a shark bites, and they clearly, like we said previously, they don't go out there to attack you. They think you're food, or they're curious, or they feel threatened, and that's when they bite.
Right.
So why do we not call them accidents? Or bites? Why do we call them attacks?
Right. Right. Because a lot of the times, I mean, it's very rare to see actually a man-eating shark. Like, even that one, like, attack or bite, I guess. I don't know what that one was bad, the one in Egypt. But again, there was dumping of meat like pretty close by. So it's already in the water. Like there's scientific evidence for why that happened. It wasn't just like a out of the blue sort of a thing, like there's a reason why that happened, and unfortunately you have to know the situation around you. Like that's why you guys don't dive when it's raining, I'm assuming, or you have to wait and see what the clarity is like. All those things are.
Depends where.
Yeah.
But also for the Egypt thing, we are not specialists in shark things, so we aim not to try to be specialists
Right.
in something we are not. So that's actually something you should invite our friends to talk to you about.
I would love that.
Oh my God, Andy, you should definitely invite Andy, our friend. We can send you details later, and she would be
You
a
sent her
great
some of
specialist.
Those
some of
shark
her-
merch, yeah.
Yeah, so she can tell you all about it and all about why this happens and why this time the shark ate the human and why most other times it doesn't and stuff. So
Right.
we'll leave that to Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, right, yeah. So yeah, and Andy went with you guys to the climate summit too, right?
She
Yeah.
did, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we loved seeing people listen to her talks about sharks as well. She was giving these talks where she was explaining their behavior and really giving you actual scientific reasons to why how they behave and why
She
you
went to
shouldn't.
school for them.
Yeah, she has a master's, I think, with marine biology, especially working with sharks. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely. Absolutely. And I also feel like that I don't know, more people get killed by cows every year or something like that
And
than
coconuts.
sharks. So,
you're more likely to be bitten by a New Yorker than a shark.
right? Yeah, I'm from New York, so I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Gotta stay away from you.
Yeah, and get
Wow.
it that subway.
That's why I stay out of the city. I'm not a city
Yeah.
fan in general, but New York City is just something else.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun, but you don't want to get bit.
No. Rather be a shark than a human, I'd say.
yeah, exactly, right? So what else was I gonna say? You guys have also dove with sea lions too, right?
Our favorite.
That's your favorite. Did it kind of freak you out? Because like I feel like I don't know, like I think that sea lions are very cool, but something about like they're actually they're huge, like they have a good bite force, so
Yeah. The males, scare me, and I back away when I see one coming close.
Yeah.
But the
That's like
baby,
men.
yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta back away.
But the babies I love, and I was just in Magdalena Bay, and I was surrounded by sea lions. They're obviously spicy, and I think they're like dogs. You know,
They are.
they're
Yeah.
like dogs everywhere. You know, to still give them space. Like I would never go and try to touch them or anything because they can bite. But once you get that connection, which I did with a couple of them,
Yeah.
you just start playing with them and twirling with them, and yeah, I consider them my family.
They're so interactive. That's why they're so fun to dive with, because you can kind of, because for me it's important when I'm in the ocean with wildlife that I feel like I'm, if not wanted, then at least like approved to be there. So
Right.
for the animal to be so interactive always makes me feel good
And they
about
just
the
want to
dive.
play. They just want to
They look
play.
really playful, and it does. It looks like a lot of fun, but like there's also like I don't know. I love having like the healthy respect, right? Like of animals, like because there's some I don't know. You've seen, I'm sure you guys have seen videos of like people just like going up. There's like that place in California that people just like go up to them on the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah, dumb ways to die.
Dumb ways to dive. And again, going with someone local, if you do want to dive with any kind of wildlife, especially if you're going there to look for that wildlife, whether it's sea lions or whatever, always find someone local who has experience with the animals and who is a certified guide if that's something that exists for the area. Because, for example, we had no idea, but we were told by, again, in Mexico, our guides that you cannot dive with sea lions at a certain time of the year in this area because they're having babies and then they get more aggressive and you obviously don't want to bother
So if
them
you
as
go
well.
alone, then there's more room for an accident or something. So
So-
always go with a guide, no
No,
matter
yeah.
how professional you think you are.
But-
Unless you are the guide, go with a
Right.
guide.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's just intricacies like that you don't realize, and each species is also going to be different like for whatever area they're in too. And I feel like it's also nice because you're supporting the local economy too, right? So it's kind of like a win-win in that sense.
That's our big message too, which we've already mentioned a little bit, is that always support small local rather than a huge chain. Like for example, these websites that you have for liveaboards, some of these websites are huge. And if you book through them, the money goes to this huge company that runs probably 5 other companies that then run 5 other companies,
Right.
and the money all goes to that one guy, probably a guy, hopefully a woman.
Right.
And then you're kind of like, the money disappears that you're giving to the community, and it definitely does not trickle down too much. So always trying to find the local and directly contacting the local is the way to do it, and that's what we want to help people to do. So we like to share local companies on our page and also organize trips. So if you
If you
want to
don't
be
wanna-
sure,
Yeah, if you don't want to come on our expeditions, like still ask us like what
we will
companies
tell.
to reach out to, because we will give them their contact.
yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, and you guys, I think I remember asking on like a Q&A you guys did, but you guys wouldn't do cold water dives. You guys are strictly warm water girls.
Yeah, I mean maybe one day, but
I mean, if we ever can come up with the Antarctica expedition, I'm not saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see a narwhal so bad.
Oh, that would be so cool. And like talking about gnarly seals, leopard seals are pretty cool.
yeah,
I
leopard
would
seal.
murder someone. I would feed someone to a leopard seal just to see them. I would love it.
I love that. That's hilarious. They're
Not on our expedition. Not on our expedition.
Right.
I wouldn't use a guest, but
yeah, we have to bring the bad person out and then throw
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm so excited for you guys for your plans for the future, and I really hope one of these days it can align where I can come on one of your trips with you guys. Is there anything else that you guys are like focusing on that you want to share?
I think people should just keep an eye on our social medias, because we are hopefully very soon starting to share about our big conservation project for this year. Our huge goal this year is to really be able to focus much more even on conservation, and not just by sharing other people's projects, but
hopefully
being more
being part of one.
involved in the project as marketing and content creation side, and also whatever advice we can give in any other way. So we have a couple of collabs going on.
That's awesome.
And discussions going on related to that, but unfortunately we don't know enough that we can
Yes.
we could
Cool.
confirm it.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on our Instagrams and you will see it as soon as we are ready to share it.
That's very exciting. And one last question before I let you guys go is: are there any animals you haven't swam with yet that are on your bucket list to try to eventually see in the wild one day? You guys have
Really?
seen a lot, so it's hard.
Well, if I can swim with the narwhal or leopard seal, those are the ones we mentioned, but they are really hard to find, so I'm not really keeping that as top.
Right.
Mola mola, actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, mola mola.
Mola mola.
The sun.
Moonfish or
Yeah, those
sunfish?
big
I always
sunfish.
confuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunfish, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one, big one of those.
I didn't. That's interesting. I didn't realize that they are actually pretty rare or hard to find.
Yeah, they're all over California, right? And then, are they also on the Florida side?
Maybe.
I
is
don't
it?
know. Mola mola, are they? Because they are in
Sometimes.
Catalina,
Yeah.
but
Catalina, yeah.
Catalina, there are a bunch. But I've avoided seeing one this far, and I really want to see one. But maybe actually, again, keep an eye.
And
There
then
might be a trip to Catalina this year, but we will see. We will see.
and then I really want to see a great white. So that
Ooh.
is
Great
on
white
the list.
Yeah. They're
in a cage.
In a cage.
in a cage.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Not like Ocean Ramsey,
Where I
which
draw
is
the
very
line.
brave. She swam with them without the cage, but yeah. If I were to ever do that, I think I would have to do a cage too, because
Yeah.
I'm not a
We
professional.
are not shark divers.
We are not shark divers. We can stay out. Let the shark divers do their thing.
Yeah. I'll support them while I'm in the cage.
Yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. I'm supporting you. Have fun. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on, and it was so nice to hear your story about how you met, and I loved all the things that we talked about. So, for people listening, where can they find you guys and connect with you more?
Yeah, you can find us on OceanGalz. It's Ocean and then GALZ, OceanGalz. And then also we have OceanGalz.com, and then you can find all our socials there.
Cool.
And we're going to start posting more YouTube, so more behind the scenes. So
Oh, awesome.
keep an eye on that. Yeah.
Very.
I would say for news, the best thing you can do is follow us on Instagram. And then also, if you want to join us for a dive, make sure to check out our website. We have expedition part there, and there's also a form where if you fill that out, then you're on our email list, and you will for sure receive all the info about future trips and other events that we're part of.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to link that stuff down below so it's easy for people to access. But thank you guys so much again for coming on. And thank you so much, Wild Ones, for listening today. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
All right, thank you so much.
Revel in the moment like a river flowing to the sea. I feel the energy of life force flowing all through